Call the meeting order 11. Please join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm waiting for it. It's not there, Chuck. You got me down.
Oh, yeah. Were you sleeping over there?
There we go. Please call the roll. Present.
Present.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the April 1, 2025 meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have those minutes somewhere? Oh, they're down there. They're usually not somewhere. Okay. Summary of the work session, please.
During the work session today, we entered executive session at 9:07 to discuss compensation in the fire department. We reconvened the regular work session at 9:55. At that time, we discussed the part-time firefighter medic reimbursement program that we'll be implementing here shortly. We have rescheduled the May 20th meeting to May 27th. We talked about a possible residential improvement district in the township. We are prepared to offer the position of the zoning inspector to an applicant that we interviewed last week, and we discussed the ISTEM parking lot improvements. Fire chief discussed FEMA Safer grant reimbursement payment that we were due from our final payment from last year. He also proposed a pre-planned program and everything that was involved with that. Station 1 submitted and designed a new station logo, and because of that, we are receiving a donation from Firehouse Shirt Club for the fire department. He gave us an update on the career day that they held at Riverside High School. Also reminded us that he will be on vacation from April 21st to April 25th. The assistant chief updated us on the Grand River phone numbers for last month, current roof leak that they're experiencing at the building, and recent fire. And then the service director discussed no parking sign requests. That brings us to current.
Okay. Any old business from the floor? None. New business? Hearing none. Lake County Sheriff's Office. Sean, you put that on.
Yeah, you just have to let me speak. You're good.
Good morning.
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 Reporting on the month of March here for the Sheriff's Office, we had a total of 1,320 calls for service. In terms of traffic, we had 2 injury accidents, 9 property damage accidents. We issued 53 citations and 408 warnings. We had 2 OVIs, and 26 driving under suspension citations, and 26 disabled vehicle assists. We had a total of 15 arrests. 1 female was arrested on a warrant. We had 2 disorderly conduct arrests from Menor Avenue, and the other case was on Urban Street. We had a shoplifting arrest from Menor Avenue on Giant Eagle. 3 separate domestic violence arrests, which occurred on Deerfield, Fairport Nursery Road, and Richmond Road. We had 2 OVIs, one of which the driver possessed a loaded firearm while intoxicated. Seemed to see an increase with these types of cases in terms of possessing firearms while intoxicated and while driving, amidst other restrictions from the CCW law that changed about 3 years back. In light of that and what we're seeing, our deputies over at the CCW office put out a refresher video on what those restrictions are per that the newer concealed handgun law, constitutional carry law, and that is posted on our Facebook page. I want to say it's only a couple posts back if you'd like to check that out for more information and reminders. We had another case in March here on Northridge Road near Route 2 where the driver was arrested for possessing a loaded firearm while the male's criminal record prohibited him from doing so. We had 4 other separate drug arrests as a result of proactive traffic efforts. Those areas were Bacon Road, State Route 44 up near 2, and 2 cases of from Northridge Road at Route 535 in that area. Also on this topic and noteworthy of mention, this would be part of April stats, but I think it was the 8th of April, we had a traffic stop on, up by Newell, but it was on Florence Avenue, and the deputy pulled the car over. The car immediately pulled into a driveway, and the driver fled on foot. The deputies were able to apprehend the male in the front yard after a little bit of a chase, and come to find that he had nearly a pound of methamphetamines in the car, with some pills and pressed pills and indications of trafficking in drugs. We feel that was probably one of our largest seizures of methamphetamines on from a traffic stop, or if not ever. We were just talking about that the other day. 2 days later, over the weekend, we had a traffic stop one of our deputies made in Concord, in the area of I-90 and 44, and that resulted in nearly 2 pounds of methamphetamine from somebody that lived out of the county. That's frightening in itself. That male actually had a ballistic vest with him and a loaded .45 handgun. He's facing numerous first-degree felonies on that. But just some noteworthy cases and things we're dealing with.
Can I talk real quick? Is
Sure.
that a continued trend? I know a while back when you guys were reporting, we'd heard a lot more meth stuff. Is that still a trend? You see
So-
the meth increase?
So I think, and we talked, we're definitely trying to target and see where this goes, because we're trying to work on that the interdiction process and getting out there and making those efforts and seeing what's out there. We'll continue to gauge that, but like we've been talking, we're seeing that out there, and we're producing that from traffic stops. Did talk with one of our detectives who works a lot in the narcotics field with us, and he's saying that methamphetamines currently are probably one of the cheaper drugs at this point too, so that could have something to do with it.
The situation off Newell, is that a Lake County resident as well? Or is that out of
The
county?
situation on Newell, that is a Paisley Township resident that was arrested. The situation out in Concord, that was I think that was a Geauga resident.
Okay.
Other stats, we covered 111 business checks, 73 community policings, 41 alarms that we investigated, 52 suspicious matters, 13 thefts, 6 domestic violence incidents were investigated. We responded to 43 disturbances. We had an attempted burglary that was reported at Spring Lake B&B Apartments. This was sent to the prosecutor. Appears an acquaintance of the homeowner suspected of kicking and damaging the door, where no entry was made. Nonetheless, there was damage. This apparently is an ongoing feud. And finally, we had 12 scams. But I would like to note on the first quarter here, we're finding, countywide, even our neighboring counties are sharing the same typical scams that we've seen in the past, but unfortunately we're seeing some people are still falling victim of large monetary losses. So we just want to caution the public, and these are ones we've talked about, posted about, media's been posting informational bits on these, but we're still running into the people that are calling people from a restricted number claiming to be a representative of our Lake County Sheriff's Office, may even have the same name of a supervisor that works with us. Kind of like the jury duty type scam where you missed, or we're coming at you for fines, that type of thing. Or we're coming at you with a warrant. We're not going to pursue money in that way. We're not going to call you in that manner. We caution people to go out of their way to call us. We'll help verify that information and what you're seeing. I know probably a large part of the county was seeing the Ohio Turnpike toll scam for a while. You receive a text on your cell phone to pay a toll. They are cautioning that on the Ohio Turnpike's website as well, that is absolutely a scam, and they don't pursue monies in that fashion. So just rehashing through some of that we're still seeing a number of these. Just be leery. We even had one the other day for the Publishing Clearinghouse. We haven't seen that one in a while, but that's coming back. And just to touch on Riverside High School, there was a mention of it earlier here. We are having a switch out of our SROs. Deputy Fitzgerald, who's been there for three years, has done a solid job. He's going to rotate out after the school year. and go to our detective bureau. And we have another deputy that took on responsibilities out there. Deputy Luke Gurgic's going to go out there and fill that role as well. We have a change coming where Deputy Basco is going to the court services department with us, and we're going to put one of our other detectives out at the school to gain some experience. So that'll be tailored to Kavik. That's going in the next school year, but I think we have a good plan for that. So some changes there, and we're also starting to accommodate some of the internship programs that they want to come and get a piece of what the sheriff's office is like from every division: dispatch, corrections, road patrol. So we're facilitating, I think, 2 or 3 of those to where hopefully that helps with their school project, and who knows, maybe some future deputies down the road.
All right, good.
Hey, Captain Patterson.
Thank you.
So it's kind of funny. No, it wasn't funny, but it was very interesting. Sunday morning, we're heading off to church, 7:30 in the morning, and there were 6 deputy cars flying down Bacon Road into Lake Erie Shores. That's where they ended up at. But 6 of them. I mean, they weren't one after another, but there wasn't a lot of space between them. So they kind of did an all-hands approach, and they came flying in there to address the disturbance that happened. And just want to say thank you very much for that quick response. Appreciate it.
Sure, and I got some information for you on that, sir, a little bit
All right.
after the meeting if you have time. Thank you.
Before you leave, I wanted to bring up a topic that the sheriff department might want to weigh in on. So
Want to go to the microphone there, Bill, so people at home can hear you?
People at home.
with the parking situation over at Haddon Park, we're taking away a lot of the parking. And I think people are going to want to park on Everett, on the tree lawn. And we all know that there's no parking on, unless it's a curbed road. Without having signs up, I don't think it's going to do any good for the residents to call about the no parking. If they call the sheriff department and you go there and they say, well, there's no signs. If they're out of the area, they're coming to see their grandkids play ball, they don't know that we don't have parking.
Right,
So
but,
I think we need to put no parking signs up on Everett, unless you'd rather wait to see what happens, but the first
well,
weekend that they have a tournament.
we're obviously, that was a push with the agreement that we were making with ISTEM to fix that problem because of what we've done in that park. We need to create more parking, but that's going to take a month or couple months. So we have to have something in the interim.
Right, but when they have the tournaments, they're playing on the field. It's the older kids, and they're playing on the field up next to Everett. And I just think
Hence
that
all of the parking in the park, which is why we had.
Yeah, right.
we've only got room for about 30 or 40 cars on the parking that we're providing. And I know, I guess what I'm asking you, if they call and say, people are parking here and they're not allowed to, and you go there and someone says, there's no signs, how are we supposed to
I
know?
mean, obviously, well, yeah, you make a great point, and obviously, things going in that maybe can mitigate that. I think,
Parking on Garfield?
things we look for in park, as far as the parking plan, we try to be reasonable. After you move the car type of thing, how far from the driveway is it, what's the hydrants?
What do we say about like
Parking situations,
garage sales and special events?
I mean, so, like I said,
But how do
It's
you
a
know?
narrow road anyway,
it's a
so.
good point to make. I
Okay.
don't know, we'll have to probably see going
Okay.
into it. When do we believe the project will kind of open up?
Well, the parking lot's going to be paved tomorrow on Everett.
No. We're talking the big one that we just
Right.
yeah.
Oh, that's not gonna happen till, what, May 21st?
So next month.
Yeah,
Right, not till schools, we can't start that till schools out.
yeah, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. We agreed that.
And
Sorry.
do we, question, like, do we know when there's weekend events? And can we,
Well, softball's every weekend.
And here's the thing too. I
Every
mean,
night of the week.
I just verified, but and I don't mean this, but ignorance of the law isn't a defense against not following it, but still, I guess, helpful to say that they can't park there. But how do we want to address it?
Probably 20 people that aren't even from the
So,
city. That would be one of the only times I'll ever be there.
how much of a pain is it, rather than putting up no parking signs? Can we have some signs made on the Coroplast stuff that is basically no parking on all uncurbed streets, that we could then I hate to do it, but put out Friday, pick up Monday. I don't know. And does that actually make it more enforceable or not? That way you're not, because if you just put them on Everett, just the regular no parking signs, they're not going to park on Everett. They're going to
Well,
park
isn't
on
there-
Doan and
Isn't
Blish.
there, I don't know this.
Where are they supposed to park?
Not my problem. This is
No,
their choice.
Is there a place for them to actually park or
Let's
no?
go, Grandma. You gotta hike 10 miles down the street.
Well, and that's what we're but,
Right. I'm just asking, giving someone.
well, the softball even start yet? The games?
Games, no, but there was practice there this weekend when I went by.
But will the Everett parking that we're putting in alleviate the practice parking issue, and then by the time the games start in the summer, we'll have the other lot done? Is my question. That's what I'm getting at. Do you know what I'm getting at?
I'm gonna give my opinion.
Okay.
People are gonna park where it's closest, and they're not gonna, if their kids are playing on Everett, they're not.
Well, we're going to communicate with the league once this parking's in that they need to let their parents know that. And I know what you're saying, but we're going to try to communicate that, hey, it's illegal to park on the streets if you're doing it by your own. Because if they get called, they have to enforce our resolution.
And my thought is, if you do the plastic signs,
Are those legally binding? Like I know
No, all you're doing is you're putting them on notice of the.
of
the
the
law
law.
that
you already
exists.
have.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. Okay, yeah.
And,
So
and,
parking
and
on
that's
curb streets only.
and that's more obvious in my opinion, especially if you put it on an orange barrel or I don't know how you put them out, but
That's not pretty.
it's not.
What do you want? We don't want permanent signs. I don't think.
I mean, that's kind of my thought.
Well, and I was thinking that the utility poles are spaced far enough apart that,
Put them on there.
we put on there instead of putting a post
Oh, there you go.
in somebody's yard, but, and Matt, you can weigh in on this, I looked this up and it said that, courts consistently rule that parking restrictions are enforceable only when signage is clear and visible. I don't know if that's true or not, but
Where'd you get that from?
Google.
And so my thought is, if you just put up the regular no parking
Your website.
signs
I was on your website.
on Everett, people are going to park on the other side streets. So if you at least notify them, no
Yeah,
parking,
They'll just push it out.
it's just going to push it out. So no parking on any uncurbed road.
We could bolt those onto the speed limit signs, Josh.
Yeah, there you can do double duty too. That way you're not putting up more posts. And then it's posted so it's clear. So when these guys go out, they're like, look, we have 5 signs in this neighborhood.
So, I mean, what you could do is 'cause I know oftentimes, actually when I was coming into through Menor today, there was no parking on hydrant side of the street. There was like 3 different things on one of those signs when you enter the city.
People ignore signs like that.
Yeah, I know, but again, putting them on notice. You could put one on before you come into that area for Haddon Park. It's a parking on curb streets only, right?
You're going to piss off everybody who lives back in
Okay.
Arbordale, Boxwood.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that's the law. You know, maybe that's a thought, right? So now they have to drive by it before they get to that area. They're presumably on notice at that point.
You're saying put them at the top of each street?
Potentially, yeah. Like before you come in, right?
People are gonna-
Yeah, like if you put them at the top of each
When
and
you
then.
drive into a city,
Yeah.
it says welcome, by
Yeah.
the way, these are our little,
Yeah.
can't park
Yeah,
between you.
like 4 inches.
So do you put
when
one
there's
at-
access to 4 inches
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, because there's a speed limit sign entering all those neighborhoods, right? Do we put them on there and then one closer to the park, just like maybe 3 of them up? So, because there's only 2 ways into that neighborhood, Everett and Garfield.
So if you put one at Garfield, North Dome, Everett and and North Dome and Jackson, that's the only way you can get there, so you gotta drive by one of those signs to.
Right, and then is there a speed limit sign by the park somewhere? You could just stick one up there too, just so it's like, and that gives them, I think, makes their job a lot. I'm not speaking for them, but
You talking like permanent signs?
No,
At least-
similar to what you're talking about, Josh, we'll just put it, and then, once the other parking lot gets built, we'll take them down.
Because it's not an issue during the week, right? It is when there's an event there. I mean that.
Maybe just put it right there.
all right, we'll figure out the details, but we'll figure out something.
Well,
All right,
was here, I wanted to.
okay. You had more though, right?
But that.
Oh wait, you want to do as sheriff's here, right?
But that if we put these up, then the hope is that it gets enforced. I guess that.
Well, they'll enforce it if you get a call, right?
Yeah, it's something like I said.
we're trying to be reasonable. If we can figure it out, let's get some movement. If it's gonna be a whole line of cars, and I don't even know if there's an ability to have a temporary lot in place or something in time.
Not really.
Whole other-
Yeah.
I mean, so this is something that I guess the softball leagues have to be aware of.
Yeah,
that-
that's why I say we'll communicate with them and give them some info. I think we need to do that.
So there's, I think on Everett, is that a no outlet sign?
No.
Well, you're going into the Boxwood area, yes, there is.
Oh, that's going the other way.
That's going into the
That was-
development.
that was-
that was- yeah.
Oh, okay, alright. Cause I'm just trying to.
You need to come off of where they
Going north, like northeast.
On-
or
yeah,
whatever,
north-
Like Garfield?
in Garfield. Yeah.
Wherever there's a sign, piggyback it. So it's this
I
way.
mean, but it's just like I said.
Yeah,
a
like I
2x3
Yeah, figure something.
ground mount
right.
sign that's just
Well, the 18 by 24.
that's
is just
obvious.
right.
You can't miss.
Yeah. All right, we'll figure
Friday,
it out.
Saturday, Sunday.
Girls with yellow tape on that, on the roadside.
But that's
Needs
but
to be done and taken
That's a
down.
lot.
yeah, that's a lot.
Taken down to make the softball team do it.
That doesn't matter, they moved them all last night and pulled down to the
Yeah, did you hear
gravel
this?
area.
They had that all roped off where they're prepping for the asphalt, and they moved them and parked in the
Are you serious?
the
So
base.
right down into it.
I mean, listen, they park in the park. This is the whole reason why we're creating this problem, because you have people driving into the park while kids are playing at the playground.
Right.
I can't
Zero
believe they
signs.
moved
Barrels.
the barrels and the caution tape for an area that was under construction.
To park down into the gravel.
So if you guys are in that, let your guys know if they're in that area and they see.
So it's getting paved tomorrow.
Oh, it's
right?
getting paved tomorrow. Never mind. That's right. All right. All right.
This is work.
This works, sir. Bill, so we're still on you.
So the pickleball courts at Haddon Park are open. The nets are up, the windscreen's up. And our annual snowplow painting with the Riverside High School art students will be next Friday, April 25th.
Okay. And did you want to talk about the cemetery wall? You don't have to get up there, but if you want.
Okay, so, we reached out to ODOT about it, and their initial response was, yeah, we'll give you some bricks if you guys wanna repair it, so.
So what's our?
Nope.
We don't know what the next step is, but
We're not interested in that.
that's not the answer, so.
Well, I know that.
uh,
So what's our next
We're gonna
step?
reach back out to somebody else at ODOT and see what
Can come up with?
we'll come up with, yeah.
Okay. And truck proposal. We want to wait on that. You want to talk on that now?
No.
We need to talk about it. All right, let's go.
You wanna talk about it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, that's what you said, right, Holly?
Yeah, I don't think we should wait.
Okay, yeah. So there's 3 trucks, 3 internationals that are on that sheet for the proposal.
Correct.
So I was getting prices on them for maybe replacing 1 or 2 next year off the truck replacement program. So the guy gave a price on them of $152,000 for a cab and chassis. Pre-emission stuff going in, so they'd be 26 months. No, they won't
No,
have any
pre.
emissions on
So
them.
it's less cost because it's not
Okay.
on there.
All right.
So he has 3 on the lot, he ended up calling and said, I have 3 on the lot that the municipality purchased and then backed out of. And they're the ones that we would get. They're $136,000 prior to
To change.
the change, plus an additional when the new emissions go. So they're gonna go up an additional 17,000 before the emissions even. Going into 26.
So in 26,
There'll be 152,000 without the emissions on them.
and then you'd have to add the emissions.
Have to add the emissions of an additional 10 to 15,000 they're projecting going into the end of 26, 27 models.
So you're
But if you buy them
170.
before, you don't have to add that emissions.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you're
So if
100
we bought them now, they'd be 136,000 plus 135,000 get upfitted.
versus 170,000 for the chassis in.
And then whatever the
2026.
cost increase is with the upfitting. So in 2 years, those trucks are gonna be about a $310,000 truck going forward, is what they're looking at. So right now, they're gonna be 270, and then if we financed them,
Mike
I'm
loves that.
talking to the finance guy to try to get down to 5% on that instead of the 5.5,
What color are they?
they're white.
And so my initial thought is, I like saving the money. oh, you're spending a lot of money to save money. 8-10 years down the road, whoever's sitting in these seats, are they going to be asking the question, why did the previous guys buy 3 trucks in 1 year? We can't replace 3 trucks in 1 year. I think we had that discussion early on where the trustees.
So these Kenworths are gonna last, are projected 20 to 25 years as opposed to the internationals at 10 to 12.
Okay.
And they're not even making 12 years of I mean, we're putting, the trading value is 20,000, we're putting $11,000 worth of work into them a year.
I remember we had a couple come up for replacement when it was, oh yeah, the trustees used to buy trucks in pairs or twins or whatever, and we're like, that's terrible for replacement.
It
I don't
is
know.
in theory, but if you have one that chronically breaks down, because like you guys have squads, some squads are just bad out of the gate.
Yeah.
We don't plan on replacing it, but we could buy 3 at the same time, 2 of them might last forever and one dies 10 years in.
So if we took the 60,000 trade-in, I was thinking, so money from the equipment fund, and then an additional 100,000 out of the gas tax fund. Finance 612,000, estimated we have $107,000 a year payment over the 7 years, and the first payment's not due until 1 year after you purchase the trucks.
How many years? 7?
7, at $107,000 a year.
I mean, I don't know.
There's a prepayment penalty if you pay them off before 4 years.
Completely?
No.
Can you pay it down to?
You can pay it down
You
with
can pay it,
principal
yeah,
interest, as long as you don't pay it off entirely and,
That's what I'm getting at. So you could pay it 90% off.
we could get it down to a reasonable amount.
Right. Okay.
I mean, is there any appetite to do 2 trucks instead of 3? Or I just hate to have 3 trucks that are
We're
the
just putting
same
this
year.
money into these trucks and they're not worth it.
Josh, yeah, you got a $20,000 value and they're putting in $11,000 a year. You're exceeding that
50% you're
50%
exceeding, yeah.
minimum.
Doesn't
It's
make
if you're
sense.
going to do it, which it sounds like we really need to. You need to do it now.
Basically, who will buy these trucks is a place like Grand River that needs a truck that can only afford $20,000.
$20,000.
So if
Most
you
likely
did
they're
it
gonna
and you
sell it.
financed it and then you use some of the monies, you put a down payment. So when we did our levy, we projected $150,000 annual for vehicle replacement. Speaking with Bill and John about this, I said, okay, so what's coming up? And it looks like really over the next 6 or 7 years, there's nothing coming up except like a snow plow.
Sidewalk, snowplow possibly, and a new hot box.
And so if your payment is $115,000, if you only put $150,000 down, your payment's $115,000, that still leaves you $35,000 annually to put in for equipment replacement. So if you had to make a big equipment replacement, which is what the snowplow would probably cost, right? That only counts for 1 year. So you still have multiple years. With these new emission things that are put in place, I mean, we can wait and then pay 30, 40,000 more than we're paying now. So it's like bite the bullet and do it, and then finance it, which none of us like. None of us have done before, unless you got a better idea. But I think we're kind of backed into a corner here with this.
I guess my struggle is that 20 years down the road
What?
is 20 years down the road having 3 trucks that are
Our own money.
Understandable.
And then have them pay us back.
You could do an advance out of the.
Advance out of the general fund, and then have them make payments to us at 0% interest
Well,
instead
that's
of
true.
financing it.
The only way you can do that would be out of the general.
Oh,
That's
but
what
then
I'm
you're losing the.
Investments of 7%, right?
Right now, the
5%.
investments is bringing in a lot of money on the revenue.
Well, that's what you gotta weigh. What's the investment average?
Probably like 5.5.
So it's a wash, right? Or do you think it's more?
I don't know what the.
We brought in $474,000 last year in
it's got to be
interest.
down by the 4% now, right?
So I talked to another bank, they're at 4.8% for financing. I'm trying to get this guy down to.
So we're under 5. So I think we should look at.
5 or under.
I think we should look at if we have the
Charge
fund.
them the 5%, and they put it back into the general fund.
Yeah, but our own money instead of paying. That's what I'm getting at. No, that's what I'm getting at though. Utilize our own fundage, and if we're gonna charge you guys, if you're gonna pay interest out of your that you'd be paying anyways, paid interest back to the township.
I have to see how that works. I'm not sure that's.
Yeah, I don't know if you could charge interest within your
We don't call it
quote unquote.
interest.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, either way, if we have the money, to save us from giving 5% on that purchase,
You do.
We'll have to go
because you're
with
going to
it.
cost 5% over 7 years. You're about 50%. extra in cost.
So at the end of 7 years, we would be at 989,000, I believe.
If we pay it off in 4, with say a windfall that we get from any number of possibilities.
Correct.
We cut out
My
3
point,
years.
yeah, so I mean, it's 7 years at 5%. 7, yeah, I mean, it's, what'd you say?
Here comes Raymond.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna save
You don't know if
40,
numbers are
almost
right,
40%
let's throw out numbers.
in interest, right? So, of the overall cost at the end of the term. So,
And Josh, as you're concerned about replacing all three, I would say the chances of all three of those trucks needing replaced exactly in 20 years, you might get 26 out of one, 18 out of the other, but.
what I'm getting at
Just
is,
say that at the end of 20 years, you're gonna need to replace them all, I don't see that happening.
yeah.
So we can change
So
that.
here's the thing.
I don't wanna
If
get
you're
blamed.
financing them, it's 5% for 7 years, okay? The amount of interest you're gonna pay would exceed what it would cost us to buy them incrementally over the next 4 to 5 years, right? So because you add that interest in for those vehicles at that dollar amount over 7 years, it's gonna be equal to or exceeding
The
what it
cost,
would cost to just wait, right? So we'll actually be paying more if we buy them up front and finance them than if we waited.
So transfer.
So the money, I think the only feasible way to do it is to transfer the money out of the general fund and have you guys pay us back. Because by financing that, you get the trucks and save money on the cost, but the interest will eat away at any savings you have and actually exceed what the projected cost would be in 3 years with the emissions on there.
What's the total
You
cost
follow?
of these vehicles?
Right, but what we're trying to avoid is having to get that new emissions.
I get that too.
You know,
My
that's-
point being is we're not, if we finance it, the savings is really non-existent in a way. So I think the only way to make it make sense, as long as it is there and with some additional revenues we're gonna have coming in that right, that'll bolster that a little bit. It only makes sense to transfer that initial money
Is that
from our
covered in
general
funds?
and have an agreement with the service department that they pay that back out of their vehicle fund every year.
I gotta see how that works, cause right now, my understanding, only you could advance money, but then it has to be paid back in that same year.
so if we were to finance $612,000,
It's
if we
typically
put 200,000 down,
one time.
we went 7 years at $107,000 payment. At the end of 7 years, we pay $749,000 on a $612,000 loan. So we pay an extra $140,000 in interest
Let me do a little research on
over 7 years.
When does this need to happen? I mean, are we facing because this guy has 3 vehicles that were turned down by another municipality.
And somebody else
What's
is
the
gonna buy
overall
them.
purchase?
No,
What's the cost out the door?
So 812
Is what we're paying for these.
For the 3 vehicles.
for the 3 vehicles.
So
But I'm
is,
saying if we put 200,000 down
Okay.
and finance 612,000,
I mean, so there's 3 vehicles. Are they kind of waiting to hear back from us? They kind of.
These things need time to, do they need time for build out, or are they, how long for the build out?
that's who we use. Henderson's 12 months right now.
12 months for the build out?
So we wouldn't even have these in time for.
Well, I'm talking to a couple other truck builders.
Yeah.
They think they could have one done by fall. Talking to another, I reached out to another 2. I gotta call them back. If they return the calls, I haven't returned them.
But all of our other trucks have been outfitted by Henderson, and they've done a nice job.
It's $213,000 in interest.
If we did the 800 and finance the 800.
612 at 5% for 7 years is $213,000 in total interest.
But you're not paying that 5%.
It's an
Because
a simple interest. Amortized, amortized. You're 116, just under 116,000 amortized.
Would Henderson, would they be able to get one built out if they had the
So
other?
that's what I'm trying to work with them right now.
Like, hey, if we would bring 3 to you,
So
get us.
Didn't think of that.
New York State, their department bought 300 trucks, and Henderson's outfitting 300.
So you're
snowplow
still-
trucks
Well,
now.
slide one of ours in.
That's still.
They're local, right?
Bucyrus.
Of like, hey, look, we want to have 3. Get us one this year, and we can wait on the other 2.
So it's still 40 grand per truck that we're
Yeah.
paying in interest, even with the down payment.
Yes.
So you're really, that's what I'm getting at. It eats away at
Right.
any savings you have by pre-purchasing.
What are they gonna want, right now, they're gonna want some kind of down payment or something.
They don't want anything down.
Just sign.
But that,
Yeah, either buy them or
But-
finance them.
when do you,
Or what happens if we back out of it?
We're not committed to anything.
until
We
when?
Tell them what we want it.
Till they're built?
Correct. The
Yeah,
first
but wouldn't it
payment-
make
if we
sense,
bought-
wouldn't it make
A letter of
sense,
intent.
If we
wouldn't it
bought
make
them now,
sense
Yeah.
though,
if we purchased them now,
pull the money
and
out
finance
of this
them.
year's?
the first payment
To
wouldn't
get-
be due until
Do it.
May
Get it
1st
over with.
of 26.
Yeah, we do it, get it over with, we'll figure out where it comes from, but it almost might make sense based on payment wise, to pay some up front out of this year. Do you know what I'm saying?
We don't necessarily have to pay them.
Well, yeah, but a lot, yeah,
So you,
allocated.
you said if we financed it, the first payment wouldn't be until next year.
Correct.
Is it accruing interest?
No,
No, but the prepayment, we can't, we don't, do you even know if there is a penalty or,
prepayment penalty.
yeah, or how much it is, is it a
He didn't know
percentage?
how much it would be.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, if you put
But
money down
I
now,
think
that
it's a
buys down the
percentage.
loan
You
by
don't
the
have to
time
put
you
anything
sign
out
it,
now.
and then that's less, they have to worry about with the prepayment penalty, cause you,
Right. Right, because if the loan is lower, the prepayment should be lower.
correct, so the more you put up front, the less you have to worry about interest and prepayment penalties. So if we have that money allocated in for a vehicle replacement, even though you're not required to put it down now to buy down the loan before.
Right, and that's what I was thinking to do, and then talking to the guy that was financing, he said you just make an extra principal payment.
Yeah.
And
Just
then
like-
year 4, after you're
How
out
long
of the
do you have to
prepayment,
pay back in
you
advance?
just pay off the whole
How long
amount
do you
then.
get to pay back in advance?
So,
He's saying a year, he thinks.
so you could call them, say, hey, we want them, we don't owe them anything. And we say, hey, we want them, we're still figuring out payment, if we're gonna pay cash, if we're gonna finance, we're working that out, but we want them.
Like we do with the fire department years ago,
So
that 900,000.
how that works, Josh? So if
Remember
we
that,
say
Chuck?
we want the cabin chassis
Now, if there's.
today, we would do the credit application through the bank. The cabin chassis, say we're buying one for $136,000.
Whatever, I'm not sure.
The bank sends them will send Kenworth the
we need that.
$136,000.
Sort of an agreement that could be done.
When we get the truck then
For a
through
specific
Henderson,
purpose, you know what I'm saying?
say $140,000,
Capital approved.
the bank will send a purchase order number and an agreement to the bank. They'll send the $140,000 to Henderson, then we'll start making payments at that point.
But I just can't believe if the bank's gonna send money for the cabin chassis right away, that there's no interest on that.
Right,
that-
that doesn't make any
That seems
sense.
odd.
I thought the same, but talking with the guy, unless I misunderstood him.
I'm not, but it sounds
Yeah.
like that would be
I mean,
crazy.
or-
What purpose does that serve them?
Yeah.
The banks are in the business of making money, right, on the money that they hand out to people. There's no interest, there is no,
So I think the actual commercial loan is 7.5% and municipality is 2%.
reduction, I get that. But still, they're if a financial institution is putting out money
For a year
for a
almost.
year, there's no way they're doing it at no cost. There's no way.
I mean, can we buy the cabin chassis with cash? Part out of yours, part out of
General
the
fund.
general fund now, and
That's
then
what I'm getting at.
Let's just see what we can do.
Anyway, we're gonna do it,
Okay,
and then we're gonna figure this out secondary. But this, because that's not something we can hash out right now. But initially, I think we're gonna we'll go ahead with that,
okay.
and
Right
then
now, you just gotta give them
a verbal.
but don't fill out credit applications. No,
There's a credit application, but it's only like 4 lines, there's not much.
but we don't know that we're financing.
We don't know we're
these.
financing. Ask me, can we commit without a credit app? Like we might just pay for these things.
Oh, yeah, he'll be,
Okay,
Yeah.
but I get them before somebody else scoops them. Is the
Okay.
point? I think. You know. Okay.
okay.
All right.
So
How
we'll
are we
get
gonna
up,
figure
we'll
out
figure
how
out.
to do this?
Well, he has to
Maybe we have
investigate
next
if it's an
meeting.
allocation.
Yeah.
We can do a capital fund.
Let's see what the options are with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we could always then finance the fit up, the
upfit, yeah,
yeah,
upfitting,
the
yeah.
upfit. That could always be financed if we had
And
to.
pay
Let's
for
figure out whether the general fund can finance equipment.
to a different department, right? Right. So we investigate, but we gotta
Okay.
claim them, and then we'll go from there.
Did you pay for those out of the vehicle, free vehicle account, or the gas tax, permissive, or
Yeah.
you pay them out of that?
I don't know if we can do capital improvements out of it like that.
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, because you can buy equipment out of those.
You can buy equipment. So.
For the maintenance of
We have,
roads.
so we have multiple ways to handle this, we just have to.
Correct. We gotta figure out the best
Okay.
most efficient way. All right, we're good?
More discussion next work
Yeah,
session.
yeah. I'm in the wrong folder. Fire. Nothing to add. Zoning, your turn.
Zoning needs 3 plow trucks as well.
Financed at 4.8%.
I just don't have the budget for it.
That's an opinion.
That is true. So, there's, working with the zoning commission, we're going to be having quite a few zoning text changes coming your way. I'm just going to throw a couple at you just so you kind of not blindsided. Adding a sidewalk requirement to FPUDs, so we just remove the problems of never having them in there.
5 foot wide.
Add the requirement of 5 foot minimum sidewalks.
Sean?
Yes.
No, we are.
So,
You gotta
but
be 10
if
acres
we
or
were
more.
to write that in, when you have a neighborhood like Greyhawk where you don't need them inside because the driveways are so small, is that going to cause a problem? I mean, the sidewalk would be on the main road, but not with internal. Or the one, for example, that we did over off Richmond Street, right off of the freeway, where they don't have sidewalks and they really don't need them for the same reasons.
So the exemption would be private streets. So
Private
ultimately,
streets.
so like Meadow Fairway Pines, that's gonna all have interconnectivity. So in terms of the requirement, Harbor Crossing has 5. The 62 acres that will be developed and submitted at the end of the year, that will be required to have 5 if that tax change goes in. I believe it's only 4 foot in the current Ryan-Home development. So there would be a change, but there's also a bridge that would divide that change. So it
Okay.
would be like a weird cut down.
Fairway Meadows is only 4 foot?
I know, but they
I
are.
believe so.
No kidding. Okay.
I would never guess they're 5 foot wide.
There's going to be code changes to section 8 and 9 in terms of changing our meeting public notices. Car washes, a little bit of verbiage in the conditional use area, need to remove some verbiage there to make adjustments. Electronic reader boards, so somebody applied for electronic reader board and that section is needing attention. And then this would be more of the bigger ones, and a quicker one would be billboards, going with the surrounding communities and removing them being permitted at all. There's no benefit to the township.
I agree.
In our comprehensive plan, and there's billboards going up in surrounding areas, and it's
Coming.
It's coming, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
next
no.
thing,
Yeah.
check. So today, after the meeting, I'm going and filing against 3 different zoning violations, 2 of which are next door, and then next one's
On the other side.
on the other side that the sheriff has been notified about. Just letting you know.
Okay.
And then I did speak with the HOA management group for Meadows of Fairway Pines about notification of single trash hauler for their development and make sure notifications go out. And then, Chuck, what was that area that they could use a meeting for?
Where we vote at on Hardy
Yeah.
Road?
Yes,
What's that place called? That's Painesville Township Park.
the park. Okay, so the Metro Park. So okay.
Yeah.
Metro Park's building at Painesville Township Park.
Because the developer's looking for a place to hold a large amount of people, and that's probably the best location.
It would be.
You, number 3 didn't hit.
So number 3, we kind of talked about it earlier. So that's another text change in there. So gym, athletic club, our definition is a little bit wonky on it. So these people want to move in here, but basically they do like gymnastics and they do, tumbling and they do groups. So technically they're a club, but there's no outside activity, which is what would really
Facilitate a club.
facilitate a club, if that makes any sense. So it's not like the Elk Club or,
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically open to the public. I could walk in and if there's open gym, there's open gym, but it's weird because there's a lot of these type of gyms in the township already that don't have those conditional use permits. So it'd be weird to instill that on one new
Not the
person
other, right.
than other. So a text change will come, and obviously with you guys' approval, I mean, she's ready to roll and she's gung ho to move in to the township.
We
so.
were just thinking, as far as conditional use, requiring a conditional use for an athletic club if it has an outdoor component to it.
Why are we calling it an athletic club?
Well, it's, by definition, the club would be a destination and or location that you have to pay membership dues to or admission to.
Is that all gyms?
Right. And that's by definition. We're not calling it a gym. It's called gym/athletic club or facility.
Okay.
So we're thinking more along the lines of if they want something with an outdoor component that may affect the neighbor, that's when you need a conditional use.
Right. But if it's all inside,
Right. If we have something that's all inside, it doesn't really make sense to require them to go through the conditional use process if they meet everything else.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
that
like
makes sense.
hypothetically a chess club.
Right.
So
That's
all-
why we're calling it athletic club. That
Yeah.
wouldn't that needs an outdoor component would need a conditional use. All the other ones, if they conform to everything else, we don't see the need to have a conditional use permit for those types of clubs.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Question, Sean? So with the hiring of the new part-timer, I know, your
Full-timer?
plate, I'm sorry?
Full time, right? Full time.
Oh, full-timer,
We're
yes,
after Christmas,
thank
hire
you.
the person, yeah.
But the zoning inspector position, can there be another, I know you've been overloaded because you've been doing multiple jobs. We hired you as the zoning inspector and then you assumed the job quite exceptionally well, by the way. But, as director, but with the new, zoning inspector, can you hit the problem areas again, focus on some problem homes in certain locations across the township, the regular frequent flyers? I know some of them get tied up in court, but it looks like, I look at one house I drive by every day and it's like, I don't know what they're tied up on because it's, and I get contacted multiple times with it. So there are frequent flyers across the township. You know who they are. If you could use we wrote the home rule, we've passed the home rule resolution to address those specifically. So,
I'll just add to that comment, the property maintenance code that was passed wasn't completely and thoroughly completed, thank you. I didn't want to be redundant in that statement. It now has been completed thoroughly, so we now have a stronger ability to move forward with it.
So it's ready to be implemented in, okay.
question then, following your comment, do we need to pass it all over again or do you just
No,
update it?
everything was passed as needed to be, but we needed to do some follow-up work to make everything in place,
Clean
Dot
it
the
up.
i's, cross the t's.
which is all been.
Okay,
Okay.
Roger, thank you.
Roger. Legal.
Nothing there.
Administrator.
Oh, I have a long list. Nothing additional.
Fiscal officer. All right, trustees, I need a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to adopt a resolution congratulating Brian Moore on his retirement from the Painesville Township Fire Department after 25 years.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to adopt a resolution creating a part-time firefighter paramedic reimbursement program for the fire department.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion? Mr. Chairman, I would ad-lib a little on this, but you're better at it. Would you mind, for the record, explaining what the purpose of this is a little better?
Yeah, the purpose of this reimbursement program is to attract firefighters, those that have already passed their EMT and firefighters certifications that need to acquire their paramedics, bring them into Painesville Township, pay them, once they go through that schooling and get their certificate, we will reimburse them in full for the cost of that program so that essentially it's paid for, and then they will agree to serve on the Painesville Township Fire Department for a year, of at least 3 years, to maintain that payment that we gave them, correct? Okay.
And it would be a minimum set of hours. per
Minimum set of
month.
hours, 96 hours per month for 3 years. And we give them that up front, and then to satisfy that agreement, they have to, a minimum of 3 years at 96 hours per month, correct? Okay. And the purpose of that is to attract more part-time firefighters to Painesville Township as an incentive program, essentially. Okay.
And Mr. Chairman,
Ultimately-
just to be clear, it's a minimum of 96 hours each month.
Yeah,
not-
per month.
Not average, correct.
Yeah, per month, right. Okay.
Thank you.
Because the ultimate goal, it will save us money if we
Save us
can
money because
keep
more,
those
we have part-timers to fill some of
part-timers.
these positions, it's less overtime, which will less stress on the budget as far as fire department goes. And we need a way, with the less people entering the fire service, there has to be a way to attract more of those potentials to our department. Okay. First, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I need a motion to adopt a resolution to hire Amanda Lewis as zoning inspector at a rate of $22.60 per hour effective May 5th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to adopt a resolution creating the Painesville Township Community Improvement Corporation, Inc. under Chapter 1724 of the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Discussion. Again, Mr. Chairman, this is something that you brought up a number of years ago, just so it's on the record. What is this for?
And legal can also probably piggyback up. But by forming this community improvement corporation, it's essentially a nonprofit organization, quasi-governmental nonprofit organization that will allow us to accept donations and contributions from outside entities that could help serve to fund different projects and other things throughout the township. It gives businesses a way to make those donations and include them in their tax deductions as a charitable donation, and it also opens the avenue for other things if we ever wanted to do streetscape programs and those type of things throughout the township.
Exactly, and it could also help with the parade, with accepting contributions or donations to help with the parade or various.
Recreation.
Exactly, anything to help business development, residents, you name it, it's a nonprofit organization that is tied to the township. It's just that arm of the township now where it can help spur development or just help the betterment of the community through that nonprofit.
Improving the
Yeah.
and keep community.
Very good. Thank you. First, second, and
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else? Nope. Okay, motion to adjourn at 11:52.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.